Hi, my name is Anthony Bowles from Anthony Bowles Architecture Limited. Thanks for watching this video. It is part of a series explaining what initial surveys you may need to get your construction project started. To begin with, let's just have a quick look at the overall survey set to recap. Here is the full list. I won't read through it line by line, so please just press pause if you would like to take more time to go through it yourself. Next up in this video is a review of your property documents. And I should say first that this is ultimately the realm of your legal team. So although ABA can take a look at it, it is important to get your solicitor to give you any final confirmation. But hopefully this will be a useful introduction nevertheless. So when you purchase your property, as you probably know, you will have bought it under either a freehold or leasehold premise. Typically leasehold if it is a flat, potentially with a share of the freehold. There are various implications to these differences, and there may be some vital information in your title documents that say what you can or cannot do according to your lease, or under what specific terms you are allowed to carry out certain works. In the case of flats, for example, most of these have what is called an eggshell lease, where you actually own the space between the walls and the wall finish, but not the actual walls themselves. And this could relate to non-load bearing timber partitions as well as structural walls. In some cases, like this, you may need to apply for specific permission from other parties named on your title documents, and this permission is often called a license to alter, where you need to agree with other owners or management companies what work is carried out and at what times of the day, what days of the week, etc. Generally, there will also be a cost involved for being allowed to do the works, and there may be an insurance clause with a down payment required. Let's take a look at an example of a license to alter stipulation in a lease. Let's just read through some of this together. Not at any time during the term to make any alterations in or additions to the demised premises or any part thereof, or to cut, maim, alter or injure any of the walls or timbers thereof, or to alter the landlord's fixtures therein without first having made a written application, accompanied by all relevant plans and specifications in respect thereof to the landlord, and secondly, having received the written consent of the landlord, provided that the landlord may require that such consent is documented by way of deed, and or that as a condition of granting such consent, that the tenant pay a security deposit equal to 5% of the value, as determined by the landlord surveyor, of the proposed works, or £1,000, whichever is the greater, and any reasonable administration fees charged by the landlord or its agents in this regard, and that this be documented in such form as the landlord requires, acting reasonably. So that is the sort of text that you may find in your lease. Okay, so that is an example of a license to alter requirement. Some of the language is obviously fairly old-fashioned, but the terms are pretty clear. And again, if there's any doubt, your legal team should give you some final say on the requirements. In addition, there may be covenants on the property, historic or otherwise, where a previous freehold or other person or institution has retained specific rights on the property. This could mean you can't build on a certain part of a garden, or that you can't change a layout or elevation without again getting the consent of whoever the covenant is in favour of. Here is an example of what this kind of legal device might look like for a freehold property. Again, let's just go straight to the actual text. Not without the written consent of the transferor to grow or allow to be grown anything within 2 meters of the boundary, shown in green on plan number 2, to a height in excess of 3 meters, etc., etc., etc. So this is to do with growing trees on a boundary. And part B, not to erect any buildings or any part of a building to the south of the development line shown in red between the points marked C and D on plan number 2, other than detached single-story outbuildings with a maximum height to the ridge of 4 meters and a maximum height to the eaves of 3 meters. And it goes on like this, basically telling you very clearly where you can and cannot build in relation to an attached plan. Okay, so that is an example of a covenant. Typically, again, there will be other surveyors to pay for navigating this process, other solicitors' fees to pay, and this can all take time. ABA will advise you to take your own legal advice on these issues, as they can be intricate and consequential, but we may be able to assist with preparing information to progress the process, such as providing relevant drawings to each stakeholder. So those are the main property document principles. Finally, it may be worth mentioning ownership considerations more broadly. If you own a top floor flat, for example, and you are hoping to extend your flat into the roof space immediately above, keep in mind that you almost certainly do not own the roof space, and before you can proceed, you will need to negotiate the purchasing of it from whoever owns the freehold. In doing so, you may also take over responsibility for aspects of the property that were otherwise previously shared. For instance, you may become responsible for elements of the roof itself. It is also possible or likely that the price you pay to have the additional space demised to your property will be calculated in a way that factors in a percentage of the projected uplift in value to your own property. This could meaningfully erode any great profits you were hoping may come your way as a result of the works. Again, though, this would all be subject to negotiation and detail, but I hope these headlines give you a sense of the general process and likely considerations. Okay, I hope that is all useful. The next video in this series will be about the thrilling subject of desktop planning surveys. So no doubt you will want to immediately press ahead and watch that one as soon as possible. In the meantime, if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, please feel free to contact me. I will put my email address at the end of this video. Many thanks for watching.